Coffee with the Editor is proudly brought to you by IRZ and the Railway Safety Regulator, RSR.
I am now joined by Gawie Jordaan, you are from EMS Industries, here for an impromptu Coffee with the Editor at the annual Rail Safety Conference of the Rail Safety Regulator. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Thank you.
You spoke yesterday.
Yes.
What was your topic?
Our topic is the impact of the fourth industrial revolution on effective integration and interoperability in the railway industry. Obviously, we need to look at how we integrate the different technologies, how we do it effectively, and then how we can have interoperability between, as an example, different rail operators, different train sets, and that was my topic.
So what are the key challenges in terms of interoperability?
Well, I think one of the key challenges that comes to mind is standardization. So how can you be effective in systems being interoperable with each other, compatible with each other, if you don't have a good standard, and if the standards are not known and not published. For a company like ourselves, which is an innovative engineering company, we try to bring solutions to the industry, but in order for us to bring those solutions to the industry, we need to know what the standard would be.
Yes.
Standardization.
And EMS, what is EMS?
Well, EMS Industries is an engineering company, 20 years in existence.
Well done.
Yeah, we're about 20 people on staff.
That's good.
Yeah, there you go. We're operating from Gauteng, and traditionally we've been doing business in the mining industry.
So that's where I know your name. I know your name.
Okay,
From the mining
I
sector,
see,
yeah.
I see. And then currently doing a lot of work in the railway industry, and basically with the young, I would say younger than me engineers. They're very innovative, and we do embedded software and embedded hardware design. Basically industrialize these ideas, and the railway industry has really been a good client to us over the last 15 years or so.
So let's just talk about, interoperability between rolling stock
Sure.
and our neighbours. I mean,
Yeah.
is that a significant challenge?
I think if we can bring it a bit closer to home.
Okay.
In South Africa, we have two role players, that will be passenger and freight. And in freight, we have the two big coal line. We have the coal line, we have the iron ore line, and then general freight. So it seems to me that operator is, you need interoperability there, and then you need interoperability between the freight transport and, for instance, passenger rail. And there we need to look at the interoperability on the technologies that is available. And that is basically where the biggest challenge lies.
So do you think we're far advanced, or do you think we have quite a way to go?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yes. So by what I mean, by that I mean the following. In my presentation, I said, use what you have before you get what you're not going to use. And what do I mean by that? I mean we have great technologies, we have great companies, we have great resolve. And the idea is to use what we have. So we have great technologies, but we need to collaborate. And we talk about this word ever so often. In every conference you hear we need to collaborate. So I try to make it a bit more personal or closer to home. And by collaboration, I challenge and put before our colleagues 2 points that I wanted to highlight in collaborate. Is we need to set goals clearer. We need to have clarity on the goals.
Yes.
So the idea is we know what the big goal are. The big goal is to effective integrate and to have systems that's interoperable with each other. That's the big goal. But the idea is to make it clearer, to have break it down, and to have measurable goals there. What do we want to integrate? How are we going to integrate? And by when are we going to integrate? Once we've set out the clear goals, we need to communicate better. Not run from or wait for the next conference and the next platform. So the suggestion was there that we put together a permanent communication hub, so where all the stakeholders can communicate, have access to the goals and the guidelines, so that we indeed can innovate.
Yes, absolutely. So give me an example of a project.
In South Africa, we have roughly 4 types of train sets. We have a train set where you have a passenger train set with multiple hall systems. In other words, a locomotive in the front and a locomotive in the rear. Secondly, we have a passenger train set with only a locomotive in the front. That looks different. Thirdly, we have a freight train with a locomotive only in the front. Fourthly, we have freight trains with distributed power and locomotive sets in the front, in the middle, and maybe in the rear. So they all differ. So the idea is to digitize that and represent that on a common platform where it will look similar, meaning you need to standardize your data. So indeed, you don't monitor the one different than the other. And that is a practical example where we can have a dashboard. Imagine you have a dashboard of the country that shows you all the trains that did the emergency brake in the last 30 seconds. How's that? You can have another dashboard. Now that's regardless if it's passenger or freight.
Wow.
Because that is what is important. Secondly, you can have a dashboard where you can see and highlight all the trains that's currently in manual authorization.
Now that would be interesting.
And that is important.
Yeah.
Thirdly, you can see another dashboard and indeed see if that morning or 24/7 operation, before the train depart from the station, did it indeed apply the brakes properly and did the brake test properly? And that can be easily done.
Yeah.
So let's say we have a dashboard where it was not done. Then immediately you can pick up the train number, you know who's the driver, you can connect with the driver and ask him if he's okay.
Yeah.
So instead of waiting for the occurrences or the accident or the near accident,
Yeah.
you're proactive.
Yeah.
And it gives you a communication tool to connect with the driver in real time, or as best as we have, communicate with the driver and say, listen, I've noticed that the brake test wasn't done properly. Do you have any problems? Is there any reason? Maybe I didn't pick up something. And then you can have the human interaction that we so desperately want, and not use the technology as a
means of discipline.
always a means of discipline. It's as if we always use the technology to discipline.
To fire you.
Rather use the technology to upskill, to connect, to do staff engagement, to keep on training. Let me give you another example. You can clearly see and maybe set speed violations.
Yeah.
And you can see maybe there's a speed violation, and let's see if it was just once off or if there is a real problem on the track.
Yeah.
Give the human maybe the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
and let him embrace technology rather than object.
Because that's the buy-in. I mean, none of
I
this
think
works
that's
unless
where you're going to get the buy-in. You
Yeah.
need the buy-in and not do it in silos.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if we don't do that, then we have no choice at all but to go the autonomous, driverless route.
Exactly. We obviously embrace technology. We would attend international shows, see what's available, bring the technology here, but trying to localize as much as possible.
Yeah.
But regarding having autonomous vehicles, I think, again, use what you have before you get what you're not going to use. And on this point, I mean, we need to look after our labor force.
Yeah.
Try and make the whole organization and the operations more effective, and we don't have to rush into autonomous vehicles if we cannot do what we do currently safer.